Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video I'm going to be using simple vintage weather garden from Simple Stories. I absolutely adore this collection. I've used it plenty of times, but there's still lots left, and it's documenting photos of our trip at half term in February to Plasnewid, which is a National Trust property in Anglesey. It's only a couple of hours away from us, and the kids love going there. It's just so peaceful. We used to take my mum and dad's caravan and stay on the other side of the water, and then drive over to Anglesey and visit Plasnewid. So whenever we get the opportunity, they say, can we go back? So we do. It was just at the end of the COVID restrictions. We'd stopped wearing masks in England, but in Wales they still had the mask mandate. So whilst we were able to go into the grounds, the house was still shut, and you had to walk through the shop to get to the grounds, and we had to put a mask on to go through there, but otherwise it was we were free to roam, so that was nice. So I had no idea what to do when I started this layout. I just knew I had these 3 photos, which are roughly 3 by 4. I trimmed them down slightly more than that. So I decided to choose 3 papers to go with them and create some tags to put them on. And originally I thought I was going to do a vertical layout, and you'll see me positioning them all here. But once I started actually creating the tags and laying them down, I realised that it was much better horizontally. So I'm just going to create the tags now by cutting off the corners of each of the pieces of paper, and then I'll use my single hole punch to create a hole at the top in the middle, and then use my We Are Memory Keepers hole reinforcer to create the reinforced hole around the edge of the punched hole, which makes a really nice feature. So already you can see I changed the paper in the middle. I used the reverse of it when I turned it over. I realised that I much preferred that, a more neutral colour. So here I am, just using my single hole punch, and there's my We Are Memory Keepers hole reinforcer to punch those out after. And I just use the paper that you can see peeping out on the right hand side there to create the hole reinforcers. And on the left you'll see all the ephemera that I've got left I put into piles. So I've got a pile of images with words on, banner words, the florals, the butterflies, tags, and then some block word phrases at the bottom. It was just to make it easier because I really didn't know what I was going to do here. Once I decided what I wanted to put down, I wouldn't have to dig through all the different ephemera bits. I could just put my hand on it straight away. So I was quite pleased that I'd done that, and it's something that I'll carry through to doing layouts in the future when I have a lot of ephemera. So here I am just deciding whether I want to cut the tags down because they look quite big next to those photos. So I grabbed my Tim Holtz edge distresser to distress all the tags because I just think this range looks much better with distressed edges on the whole, and start distressing, and that gives me a little bit of time to think. And it's as I'm distressing these and putting them back down I realise that I definitely want to do a horizontal layout. So I won't make you watch everything. I'll just, I think I'll distress the first one and then I'll fade out for you. And there we are, the change of layout. So I'm much happier with that. So I'm going to mount the photos onto some tissue, just to give them a little bit of definition. So I'll stick those 3 on and then cut them out. And then I'll go in with my amazing foam pads, the 25mm ones from Sticks 2 that we sell on a roll, and just mount all these photos. I'm struggling here because it's the tape that holds the roll together, so it's easier once I've done that first one. And once they're all together, I would tend to do mixed media background here, and normally I would reach for my Distress Oxide pads, but this time I decided to go in with a Distress Oxide spray in Rustic Wilderness, which goes really nicely with this collection. So I use a pizza box just to protect my desk, and then I'm going in with some water to activate the oxides in the paint and move that around a bit. I went in with my paintbrush, and I think next time I would just leave it to dry naturally, because it gives a much more blocky effect. But in fact most of it's covered by the photo, so you don't really see anyway, but I have a good mess around here and just make sure that I'm happy with my blending. And then I leave it to dry for a little bit, but it's still very wet, so I just go in with the kitchen towel and mop up the excess water so that I can carry on. And now it's just working out how I want the tags to be positioned over that big splotch. So once I've decided, the middle one will go up on some more foam pads just to raise it a little bit above the other two, and then the other two I'll stick down with double-sided tape. And this easy tear tissue tape that we've got in Hey Little Magpie shop is amazing, really cheap, lasts forever, and really easy to use without having to grab the scissors every time. I love it, it gives a nice strong bond as well. So once those are all stuck down, it's time to start thinking about embellishing. And in this collection I'm always drawn to those white flowers, and I decide that I want clusters on either side. At first it just looks awful and I think, where on earth am I going to put these? But then once I get into a rhythm, it's quite easy to build up the clusters on either side. And while I'm building these clusters, I'm constantly looking at what else I've got available to me. And I really like this log slice that says Live For Today on it. So I just nestle that in on the left hand side, and I like that. And then it's just looking at what else I've got available. I like this With You. And at that point I realised that I've spluttered a tiny bit of paint onto Ross's face on that photo. But we discussed it and he said he can live with it, so that's fine. So keep positioning things all around the layout. And now onto the 12 by 12 sticker sheet to see what's there. those tags look much better on the left hand side because I wasn't happy with the gap between the flower and the tab, but then it covered up the words if I tried to move it too far over, so I found this ticket to replace it with, and it says sweet, which is quite nice. So it's at this point that I realise that everything that I put down, I'm nudging things and moving their position, so I decided to go in with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and glue everything down. So just lifting them up and just squirting a blob of PVA to make it stick. And now turning my attention to the tops of the tags, I've got this twine that I quite enjoy using. It's a thicker twine, and rather than lacing each one individually, I decided that I'm going to string them together and run it off the page. So I'm just leaving bits in between and stringing it through. And I really like this look. And then once I've adhered both ends to the backs of the layout, I'll go back in with some PVA and just glue some of those little loops down so they stay in place. And again, while I've been doing this, I'm still looking around, seeing what else I've got available to me, and I see the butterflies and realise I've not put any of those on yet. So I'll choose some from the sticker sheet and add those around the twine, just to add a bit of interest at the top of the layout, because I'm not going to put too much more up there. I've set the tags fairly high so that we can keep the majority of it underneath. So just checking what else. And then I spot this clip, and I really like this. So that just nestles in on the right hand side. And I like how that looks. So you can see the structure of the layout. We're starting to bring things down the right hand side and down the left hand side, but leave it up in the middle. And now just filling in some gaps that I've noticed on that left hand cluster, just to make it look a little bit fuller, using my finger to see how much would actually be there if I cut it off, and I realise that's way too much, but this piece is perfect for that little gap there, and it's just a little bit that has to be trimmed off the edge. So turning it over, because it's much easier to see exactly what you've got to trim if you do it from the reverse. Checking that everything's well stuck down. And then I'm going to go for the sticker book, which I love. And here I'm just checking that I've got the right letters to spell the word Plas, because it's Plas Newydd. So I have, so I'm happy with that. And just looking at what else I've got. And then looking at this green one to see if I've got the letters for that. And I think I have. Seeing what else there is. Straight away I'm drawn to the tabs to, or the label stickers, sorry, to do the date always a tab or a label sticker for my date on my layouts. Just checking that it's straight. And keep looking what else I could use. I do love these tabs. And then the word strips. I like that one that says grateful for you. Just checking if there's anything else, and I love these circle stickers, so a few of those make it on. That's just the word best, and it goes nicely with that with you title. Just layering things up as I go. And the one taking it off the edge of the page, so again just having to turn it over to trim off the... Oh, I don't turn it over this time, just trimming off the edge. And then I find this piece of white cotton lace that I put in with this kit because I knew it would go really nicely with it. And I hadn't done anything with it, but I just thought that'll fill in that gap at the bottom of that middle tag nicely. So just checking that I'm happy with the placement, and then I'll adhere that down with some double-sided tape. I found that's the best thing for lace and trims, because you can manipulate it a bit and get it positioned just how you want it. So making sure it's nice and high so that you can still see the yellow tag poking out below. Covered up the word sweet, so didn't need to overthink that one. And now I'm going to go in with the title, which is going to just be Plus Newid. And I start with these, but I'm not happy, it doesn't feel like it stands out enough on the page. So I then go to the green one, stick the P down, and then realise I don't have any L's. Now I could change one of the other letters, but I didn't feel like it. I wasn't totally happy with the green. So in a minute I'll pull that up and revert back to the gingham check one that I'd looked at originally. So get rid of that and go back to it. So I'll use my T-ruler to get this in place. And I'm really happy that fits just perfectly in that space there. And then I'm going to go back to these tiny letters to write the word Newid. And then once I've done this, I'll use my black pen to go around the edges just to define those words a bit more. once that's done, I realise I've not done the date, so I'll quickly reach for my date stamp and I have the date on that label sticker that I put there before for that purpose. And as soon as I put it down, I realise that it's too far over to the left and I need to find something to fill that gap underneath the date. So I try this heart, but I'm not satisfied that that's the right thing. And then I try a flower, but I don't like that one. But then I find another one that's just perfect. There we go. And it just fills in that cluster a little bit more. And then I'm thinking about my journaling, because I want to add a little bit of journaling about the fact that the mask mandate was still there and we couldn't get in the house. So I just go around the bottom edge, just writing that. I didn't really want the journaling to be a feature. I could have drawn some lines and put it in the middle at the bottom, but I've been doing that quite a bit recently and I just wanted to do something a bit different. And then when I've done the journaling, I'll have a look, and I'm not quite happy with the balance. So I grab another phrase strip, and at first I think it needs to go on the right, but then realise that it's the left-hand side which is lacking something. So move it over to the left, and it's just perfect once I've put it there. Just like that. Because then you've got the balance between the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So this has gone from a layout where I didn't know what I was doing to a very busy, very full layout, which isn't my usual style, but I'm absolutely over the moon with it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. I'll leave you with some stills now. Bye.